Hello and good morning, everybody. I am just jumping into the main race here. Looks like we have a good pack of ladies here racing today. Look like we're at 23 riders today. We've got Miss Megan Herzog. She is our beacon today. I've got Pat, our eye in the sky in the helicopter, watching down on us, making sure everyone is where they need to be. We've got our watchers watching, our beacons beacon, and our commentary people trying to drink their coffee to wake up here at 5:05 Pacific. That's right, it's 5:05 Pacific. We're putting this show on just for you guys, making this a fun race. We've got 23 riders on board with one of our riders here, making sure we're behind the beacon. Everyone looks like they're doing pretty good here, but we need to make sure that we, on the downhills here, that we stay together. That tends to be a problem for some of our riders, but looks like they are easing up, making sure they are where they need to be. I'm gonna check a couple stats here, make sure we've got all our buttons turned and our knobs switched, or that would actually be the other way. Our knobs switched and our buttons pushed. There we go. And we'll get this shared out to all of our friends out in the Facebook
and our T's
world.
Crossed and our I's dotted.
There you go, Miss Liz. That's right. Make sure everything is crossed. Fingers, toes, and legs, whatever you need. Right, let's see.
Crossing my legs would be kind of hard to bike with.
It would be, but it could be a new thing.
Yeah, the elliptico's the thing, right?
Elliptico's the thing. There.
Oh no. Somebody already dropped the mic.
What, they did it on Obama?
Nah, that's me. We do have some really well-known names here in the pack today. Let me just go down the roster here. We've got Alice Alexander, Miss Tiffany Larson, Liz, our crazy Canuck, always there. Connie from Team Moose, that's right, back in action, spinning the wheels, keeping it going. We've got Z Kala, Angela Webster, C. Scott, rolling down the line. Bridget Soltis, one of our first ODivaZ. I remember her posting a kit with her husband, if I remember right. A Team ODZ and a Team ODZ kit on their tandem bike. That was an awesome pick. Rolling down the line here, we've got, okay, that just switched on me. Christina Barberi, she's here with us. Kirsten Catronis, awesome. June Upshaw, Hannah Wood, one of our Endurance Lab riders, and a lot of new names too. I think that's pretty interesting there. Looking at power meters, we've got all across the board. We've got smart trainers and power meters. Looks like it's going to be a pretty clean race today, and I hope we're going to get some good action out of this show. This is a much flatter course that we're doing today, rather than the hills that we've been doing in the past. Let me see if I could throw it up to Pat, if Pat could tell us a little bit about the course that the ladies are racing today.
All right, so hopefully Discord will cooperate. This course.
It's been a long time since we've been in London, folks.
It has.
Yeah, that is correct. So this is pretty close to a crit. Lighter riders will struggle to hold the watts. The heavier riders actually have an advantage here. There is one spot where there's a 3 or 4% grade, right? I'd say maybe 2.5K out, where everybody can put their digs in. So that is your best bet if you want to make a move. Also, if you're a weaker rider, that is where you will struggle the most.
Giving all the secrets away. It's everyone's.
Well, there
listening.
is another couple little spots. Yeah, the U-turn's another spot to do something kind of funny, but that's for a different day.
Yeah. So it's not like it's not like these riders have never raced this course. I'm sure everyone's done the records and done several laps on this course. I think I hear the doorbell there.
I'm more worried about the newbies not knowing where to make their move.
Actually, if they're less experienced, they have a good shot at getting dropped there. Especially there's a little trick up toward the top that even I fall victim to sometimes.
There you go. The benefits of listening to the Discord channel. All right, I think I heard the door come
Who's
in.
our guest commentator today?
Exactly. I think I just heard the doorbell came in. We have a special guest that usually races this race. We'll see if she pops in and says hello here in just a little bit. Here she's getting all set up. Knowing her, she probably just got off the bike after a workout.
Is it Beth York?
You got that right, J Flo. No, it's Taya Fristead here. Hey everyone. Good morning.
Taya.
No!
Morning,
Taya,
Taya.
you're riding the race!
All right. So
What's your reason for not riding the race? What's your excuse, Taya?
I have to honor my training this week, and that means not racing today.
Right.
So not fair.
You'll get inside tips now, since all of you are here on the Discord channel. You're gonna get inside tips of how crazy you actually are from a racer who actually races with you.
Taya, no going to the private channel.
Not today, not today.
The private channel's not too private, huh?
Hey, I know what you girls do.
Hey, I don't know. I don't know about talking about the private channel here in a public place.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, Liz.
I know there's an ODivaZ private channel where you guys, talk about secret weapons and shit.
Well, we're looking at a great group here today. This is a great turnout for the race.
Yes, that's right, Taya. I was just going over the name list here. We've got a good blend of some veteran riders as well as some new riders. So hopefully Megan can get everybody all organized here. It looks like she's doing a pretty good job coming up this hill.
It's not Megan, it's Stephanie.
That's right.
Yeah,
Oh, Stephanie. Sorry, I've got Megan highlighted in my phone here. Sorry. Hopefully Stephanie can put everybody together here. But coming up this hill is definitely normal. Things get spread out. We are getting close to that balloon that we're going to, Taya. I think we are letting everyone go at the 100K, so we're getting pretty close.
So the neutral rollout is really helpful for not only new riders, but also experienced riders. Not having to go super hard at the drop of the gate. You get a chance to get up to speed with everybody else. And it gets to be more exciting too, because you're building that momentum, you're building that excitement when you're getting close to that 1K mark when the race really starts.
Absolutely. You ever get those? I guess it would be free neutral rollout jitters, where you're trying to fight for that wheel and get to the right position right before this all starts.
It gets to be tricky because in Zwift sometimes you accelerate a little bit and you are ahead of the rider, with the beacon, and so ahead of the leader, and it's a careful balance there to be able to stay behind but not too far behind, so that you're in a good position once the race starts.
Right, that's true. Looks like everyone's coming back together. There's a little bit big of flux here with Stephanie, but Stephanie's got the beacon, she's got the light, everyone's got to follow her. Probably is going to wish by the end of this race that the beacon light would turn off after the neutral rollout. But looks like we're pretty close here. Let me jump down and see where we're at. Deep into the peloton here. Looks like we're go,
ladies. Go.
Our commissioner gives us our thumbs up. We are live, folks. We are live, folks, and we're on to racing here. We've got a huge group here, 23 riders. Let's see what happens. Paces go up, heart rates go up, wheels get spinning, legs get moving. We are into some racing.
Carol Scott immediately put out over 5.5 watts as soon as she crossed that 1K balloon. We have Stephanie right there with her, and Tiffany as well. Kim Beezer is in this race. Great to see her participating here today. She qualified for the live event in the Ecrit series for Zwift, so she's going to be doing that. Alice Alexander, great to see her here as well. Angela Webster from Vixen. So we have the Vixen team. We have fearless riders as well. Liz is here. Great to see everyone.
Yeah, it's usually how the start begins.
Those legs, stay in that draft. It just takes that little bit. Don't want to fall off here.
So not very different than the other races that we see, for example, in the men's races as well. The first 5 to 10 minutes, very intense, and the group tries to find some separation and create a gap. And once you survive those, let's say, 5 to 10 minutes, you should be settling down, and the group starts to settle down in a more manageable pace. So really, it comes down to holding on to those wheels and making the break in the front group if you can, or the group that you want to be in. And once that's settles, you're able to draft and recover.
That's right, Taya. And that's definitely key here. You don't need to push the pace. You don't need to get on the front. What you need to do is be smart, stay right on top of that wheel. And one of the things that riders have found is there's a view, very specific, I think it's view 3 here, that can really get you on top of your rider. And if you are able to ride in that view, it can get you really close to that rider in front and really be able to let just that little bit off. I think those micro rests can really, really help in the middle of the race as you get a little.
For sure.
Looks like we're headed for our first U-turn here. This may or may not be the one that Pat's been talking about. So everyone can watch their speedometers and see if it is. But what we're looking at is a big U-turn here with a nice group of about 14, 15 riders. I'll do the count as we go around the U-turn here and see what we've got. But it looks like Z-Kala is right there on the front. We know this is as one of our very light Team ODiZ riders that can really punch it up hills. But here's the thing today. It is a really flat course today. So those riders who are typically jamming up those hills because of their weight to power ratio, it may not be as strong for them today with this type of course. Yeah, what would you say to some of the highlights of this course as a rider in this pack? Obviously, it's different for the men's and the women's races. What do you feel, what kind of rider has strengths on this type of course?
This is the type of course that favors the more of the time trialist, but also, even though it's a crit course, there isn't enough punchiness in the group typically to be close to what you would see otherwise in real life in a crit course. As you watch the race, and from my experience in racing this race, usually there's a pack, and you're either in the front group or the chase group or the third group, and you sit in your group until the very end, and then there's a sprint finish. In crit courses, of course, you have a lot of acceleration and deceleration as you come into corners, and you have to surge and catch on and go hard again and rest again. You don't have that in Zwift. There's no coasting. There's no, if you stop pedaling, or if you take a little break there, you might just lose your wheel and you're out of that group. And closing a gap in Zwift is also very hard. So in the Classique course, typically what you see is groups riding together with a sprint finish.
So we've got 14 riders in this front group. The other consideration we have here, Taya, is the team consideration. We do have a couple teams here. I have Zwift Power pulled up. Let me bring that up on the broadcast here. See if I've got everything lined up. So one thing that we do need to look at is that there's Team ODiZ, there's 3 Vixen riders, 3 ODiZ riders, a Z-Sun, and a KRT rider. How does that pan out in your head as a racer when you are looking up and looking at those
Hey, there's a Team Fear rider too.
Oh, there is. You are right. On the horn. Look at that. That is correct. So how does that play out there for you in your head as you're watching the race go by?
I am
right now.
Many of these ladies obviously are used to racing together. And we see many of them coming into the ODivaZ race and racing together, which is great. So over time, they know each other, they know what the others can do. And you start to see more and more. And this is something I would say is fairly new in Zwift. Ladies getting together with their teams in Discord channels, discussing team tactics during a race. And I know that Vixen has done that. I know that the ODiZ riders and racers have done that. I've done that with the team. And so, and we also know in the team who is a better sprinter, who is good at maybe putting on some fake attacks. And so there's chances to to do these moves and play on to team tactics.
Absolutely.
And in fact, looks like we see, I was just going to mention, Alice and Carol seem to be putting down an attack here to try to open up a gap, but the riders behind them were very quick to close it, and they are back together.
Yeah, those little gaps here on this course can definitely be closed down. When there is only one or two riders that get off the front, it really needs to be a big gap in order to get away. Doing it as a solo break can be very, very difficult just because of the way the blob or the way the dynamics of a pack work. Have you seen that happen before where maybe one or two riders are off the front and it just slowly ticks away at that gap there?
So it happened in the Fearless Spring Classics race about 2 or 3 weeks ago, or not too long ago, when the Therese McMullen from Team ODivaZ went out early. She took off and broke away from the group with probably 2K to go.
Yeah.
And she put down a lot of power, and she was able to hold that gap all through the finish line. And then Tiffany came fast and outsprint her at the end. But really, in this course, like you said, Jason, it's harder to do because it's a smaller, more contained environment, and it's easier for the group to catch up. So unless you're very confident of what you can do in terms of putting down an attack early and keeping that gap, it's going to be very hard to do otherwise.
It is. So at this point, we've got about 12 riders now in this group. I'm counting. What are your thoughts, for that rider that's just, tail gunning on that back end, kind of middle, right at the top of your heart rate? What are you trying to think? You're looking at 2 laps in now. What are your thoughts? Kind of, what do you want to do, and what are your tactics? What are your choices here?
I would hope that the group that you're in is the group that you can maintain, because the numbers that you're seeing right now in that front group, for example, or the numbers that you're seeing in the group that you're in at this point in the race are very likely the pace that's going to be held all through the end. So again, unless somebody puts down an attack, this is what you're going to be holding through the end. My suggestion would be, and of course, if everybody does that, it becomes, who's leading the group. But my suggestion would be, if you're at the top of your heart rate and you're suffering, try to get into the draft. See if that helps you, and conserve energy that way. Don't go to the front, don't pull, don't push the pace. Stay contained in that group, and breathe and hope that you can hold it. If you are in, so by now you should be in the group that you can stay in. I'm assuming, as we're looking at the front group here, unless somebody is way over their limit, they should be able to hold all through the end here.
Yeah. So looking back at a couple other races, we actually have got a pretty good race. We've got 2 riders in the gap behind this group of 12. We've got Jennifer White, Nina Smith, about 3 minutes back from this group. Definitely a large gap between the two. But behind there, we've got a group of 7 riders, 8 riders I see, and the names of looks like our Liz is there. Our Miss Liz Connect. As we roll around, hold on, updating here for me. Give me a second, and we'll bring it all back for you. Here it is. So we've got Team Moose there, Dawn Cass, Lynn Bianco, Jennifer White's in that group. Just past that. So we've got a nice group that are also chasing. So there is more than one race happening here. I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to try to position ourselves and our watchers to be able to catch that second race as it comes into the final lap. So we'll do our best to make sure that we get everybody and anybody that comes through. And we also do have riders to watch and make sure that everyone makes it to the end. For those of you just joining in, thank you for joining in with us. You're on board here with the ODivaZ Ladies Race. We are on 5 laps of London Classique. I believe we're going to be starting lap 3. We just hit the U-turn there. Your commentators today are myself, Jason Flores from Team ODivaZ and the Endurance Lab, we got Taya on the other mic, and we've got Pat, our eye in the sky, night train, making sure that all is clear on the course, making sure no one gets hurt and there's no cars out there, especially those auto driving ones, Pat.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we'll see how that turns out.
Did get a call. I did put a call into a friend of mine that works for what's called customer experience, the customer experience technician at Tesla, and I mentioned it to him, and he just denied everything.
We can power their facility and charge their batteries.
Yeah. He does tell me about his weekend trips that he can take that he gets to take one of those cars. He did tell me one of his funny stories, that there was a customer that came in and was very concerned that there was water when she rolled up her window after she got a car wash. She felt that there was water in parts of the car that there shouldn't be, so he wanted to make sure that that the car was okay.
How about electrocution?
Yeah, you never know. All right.
So interesting, looking at this group here, they're keeping the pace at about 3.5 to 4 watts per kilogram, which is a very fast pace. And this is very close, if not at threshold, for many of these riders here. But I can see that some of them, including Kim, is able to conserve a little bit more. So it might be that Kim is very used to racing this course. But I look at her power, and she goes consistently down to 2.0, and she's able to stay in that group. Others here I can see are consistently putting down the 3.5 watts per kilogram. That can be a little bit dangerous if that is your threshold, because how long can you sustain that for?
Yeah, it is a tough decision when kind of you're right at the top of this. But there are a couple tips, there are a couple tactics that can help you get in, and one of the big things is drafting, trying to get on that wheel, and understanding when you can kind of let off and kind of cycle yourself. A lot of times they call it the washing machine effect. Essentially, you get funneled to the front of the group, and you kind of fall to the back of the group, and there's this ebb and there's this flow that allows you to kind of move through the group and get to where you want to be, and not having to put these huge efforts out. Here's that punch. Here it is. This is where you'll see riders try to drop riders every single time we come through. If I'm counting right, I think this is the 3rd time we've been up it today, and looks like everyone's dropping power-ups to make sure that they are on board on this hill.
But you saw the 2 riders in the front, Carol and Angela, who put down a lot of power at the beginning of that little hill, if you will, and but really the group was right there with them, is right there back. So you have to be careful as a rider to not burn too many matches if you see that you're putting down these mini attacks and using all of those stores that you have, using all of your matches and essentially wasting them because the riders behind you are catching up pretty quickly.
It did work somewhat. They put Karen Bonham in a spot of bother, as Phil Liggett would say. Looks like she took the brunt end of that attack.
Nice.
The other thing that you sometimes see too is what we call quote unquote dummy attacks. So the fake ones, you just sort of test the waters. You go out pretty quickly for a couple of seconds and see how the group reacts. Or you're really trying to get the group to get tired. If you know that you're able to absorb those mini surges and go back at your pace, race pace here. The other unique thing here is, and this is as I watch the race, I can almost feel my heart rate and my breathing so heavy the whole time. So there's a point, typically for me, halfway through the race, where my mind starts playing tricks on me and saying, why are you doing this? This is really hard. And you start to balance the pros and cons of keeping in the race, continuing to put down that hard power and suffer, versus, well, maybe I'll just have a mechanical here and I'll just, disappear from the race. So that is the constant battle, I guess, that we have. But for me, that hits midpoint.
Yeah, and we're right about that spot here. We're headed back onto what we call the red carpet here. As the camera pans around, you'll get a chance to see the start-finish line, and then it'll probably jump down to our toddler view right at the red, right at the start-finish, and we'll see them come through the line here. There it is. Look at that. So go ahead.
I'm struggling with the distance. My event's showing 19K on my overhead, but they're at 17 now, so I think they have one more lap.
All right. So let me see if I can grab that.
I'm on lap 2.
She's on lap 2 coming through. So this is the start of lap 3, everybody. Here we go. We're here with this front group. They're headed right off the carpet. I'm going to see if I could drop back a couple riders. I do have one rider in the group. And it looks like coming through is finishing lap 2, starting lap 3. That is correct. We are at the beginning of lap 3 for these riders in the front group. And as the second groups come through, that will be the start of their third lap. That is correct. Right. I'm going to jump into Swift Power here for all those riders at home. If you're trying to figure out where are they getting these stats, how are they finding out where everyone is, you can head to your browser and go to zwiftpower.com. You can find out kind of the layout here. We've got that front group just about, there it is, a couple seconds together there. The first 12 riders here in this list. You're looking at all of them all within 1 second together, and then a small group behind them with 14 seconds behind, and then a minute. This is where the second race is. This Nina Smith, Don Class, Lynn Bianco, Connie from Team Moose, and Liz, our crazy Canuck. There is a group in there. It's getting kind of feisty, Liz, isn't it? I think she's on the rivet. So
absolutely.
We'll bring it back. We'll bring it back. We're headed to that U-turn now. Speaker's Corner, I believe this is called. Our friend Andy Jenner is always trying to make sure we get all of these right. This is his hometown.
And Jason, right behind the group that you just mentioned is Christina Barbieri, who from Vixen, who has been coming into this race more and more. So it's great to see her here. We have Jennifer White, Gemma Enkers, Kirsten Katranis for Team ODivaZ as well in that group. Laura Stickney, June Upshaw. Great to see June from Vixen back. She has been taking a break from at least the ODivaZ race for a little while, so great to have her back here. Hannah Wood, she's doing the Endurance Lab with us from Team Fearless, and Elena Yadanova. So we have a good mix of returning riders and new riders for this race.
Absolutely. And I think that's one thing to touch upon. Maybe we could chat about that, Taya, is that not only has there been an evolution of riders that are starting to team up into teams, these riders are also headed out and doing like more structured training. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about kind of the temperature or the kind of things that are going on, and what are these teams doing to get faster between the weeks of all their races?
So they have been, I know many of these racers have been training consistently. We have, I have to say, maybe it could be 8 to 10 of these racers in the Endurance Lab. Yeah. And they've been training in the lab, getting stronger, but also, if you think about coming into this race here, they're in the middle of their training season. So they come in and they might be a little bit tired because they're training, but we incorporate that in as part of their training as well. So there's it's a bit of an art to bake in the races that you want to do with your training. But yes, we're seeing more and more of the ladies in Zwift training, being part of structured training, and really we also see, because they're coming back to these races, we also see the improvements. We also see how they have been evolving in their journey in cycling. They started perhaps at the time the Zwift Academy came about, And that was their first experience. Many of these riders had their first experience with instructor training in Zwift Academy, and they realized, you know what, this can really make a difference. Instructor training can make a difference, so I'm going to sign up for a program and I'm going to invest in it. And yeah, so that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, and so you mentioned Endurance Lab as far as structured training is concerned, but that's not the only one. I mean, like Zwift Academy was kind of like the big one that got people involved, but there have been others. But really, it's just getting that training in, getting that work in. So they're not just riding around; they're actually trying to get stronger in a very thoughtful way to try to make sure that they've got the power to be able to put down here.
And the other thing that you realize as you come to these races, you realize what your weaknesses might be. So yes, there's software out there that you can put all the rider's data in and figure out what kind of rider that person is and what the weaknesses are. But really intuitively, everybody, when they come to a race like this and they do it over and over, they learn what their bodies can do, and they learn that perhaps the sprint finish is the hardest thing for them, or keeping up with the group is hard. So they learn about these things and they say, you know what, I want to do some training so I can get better at it.
Right. From the beginner standpoint, a lot of times people feel like if you just race, hang on for as long as you can, come back to the race, hang on for as long as you can. That's how you get stronger. What do you feel that could be a potential issue with doing that sort of I guess training per se versus going to a structured training, Taya?
There's a lot of misconception about thinking that racing is training, that's a great way to train. It really isn't, and there's a lot of reasons why, and there's plenty of data to prove that that's not the case. At the beginning, everything works. When you're a new rider, everything works for a little while. If you are not used to riding long and you start riding long, that's going to make you stronger. If you have never done a VO2 workout and you start doing some of those, that's going to make you stronger. But really, over time, you will get to a place that you're not progressing. The problem with racing and thinking that racing is training for you is your body learns pretty quickly to do something, and it does the same thing over and over. So if you look at the race data, let's say that you race every week, and in the course of a couple of months, you look at your race data. If you use a tool such as Training Peaks or Today's Plan, and you look at your power for that race, chances are it is very, very, very similar, down to 5 watts under normalized power. So your body is very good at adapting along with your mind on, oh, I've done this before. I know exactly what I have to do or what I can do or what I think I can do. And so you just get very good at doing the same thing over and over. So that's why you have to break your cycle and you have to do other things. And honestly, if you come to London Classique and you race every week, you're just going to be doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah. And many times we find ourselves kind of what we sometimes refer to as stuck in a world when the only time slot you have, and it's the same sort of world, and the choices are sometimes limited. There is a place called Richmond that we all go, where there's very limited courses.
What's the preference? Carrot or what's that bracket? World 1 and bracket. No Richmond rest days.
Yeah, what Pat's referring to is there's a way to change your preferences in the game so that you can choose a world or just make sure you never make it to Richmond. And the Richmond course, for those that haven't ridden it or haven't been on it yet, it's the Richmond UCI course from what it would be now 2 years back in Richmond, Virginia, here in the United States. So it's an exact replica of the course. Fun course when it came out. Definitely fun when we do go there once in a while, about once or twice a month. But they're very interesting. Along with this London course, if you look around, the textures, the buildings, the trees definitely add to why people come to Zwift and why people race on Zwift. It's just a little bit more immersive than I guess the opposite would be I guess the polar opposite would be looking straight at a wall, but I don't think there's really many people that are doing that. What are some
That
of the
sounds
other,
like regimen.
what are some of the other platforms, Taya, that people use other than Zwift here to do sort of training or structured group training or work?
Trainer Road is a popular one as well. It's been around for a long time, and it's compatible with files from Training Peaks as well. So Trainer Road is another option. There are some, there's Sufferfest. Those they have their own workouts and program. You can do their 4DP test and get your power from sort of different perspectives, not just doing an FTP test, but also your 1 minute power and 5 minute power, et cetera, and get a bit of a more detailed profile of your power range. And the program would suggest workouts for the type of rider that the program says that you are. And then there are some in beta right now. There's the World Grand Tours, and there's also Virtua Go.
Oh, man, some mad racing up front. Zcala threw down a little bit early. Louisa Werner decided to take chase. Now the rest of the lead pack is trying to catch them. So a little bit of a disturbance early on.
Yeah, looks like they're pretty strung out here. And when these riders are single file line, as it is in the real peloton, everybody is on the rivet. Everybody's looking for a wheel, making sure that they stay on. Looks like they're starting to come back together now. But definitely probably just a moment of panic there, looking like someone wanting to get off the front, but Werner looks like she's pedaling back, just trying to test the legs, make sure everyone's awake. Looks like we're in the fourth lap of this race. That means the good old final bell, cowbell, final lap coming up. So we'll see how the fireworks fly here. So yeah, that was a great rundown of all the different platforms that we have. Obviously, we are on the Zwift platform. It's got a great avenue for races, a real dependable schedule that you can come to, that there will always be races, right, Pat?
Yeah, there's more to Zwift racing than I own a pair of underwear.
Yeah, this is true.
That's scary.
and then
yes, it is.
and then speaking of workouts, you could probably jump on and do a workout every couple minutes if you wanted to. You could do workouts back to back to back all day through. There's plenty of workouts you could do, but of course we favor those that are a little bit more structured and led by ride leaders, just because you're going to get that feedback, you're going to get that feel. And one thing that each ride leader will add to that is, their personality, the personality of their group, and of that workout, and throw in something that you really may have never done before. But looks like the pace is going up here. Everyone's lining up. They're only shoulder to shoulder, too wide coming up this. We're coming up on that hill pretty soon. We're going to see if riders can make sure they hold on. We're just about a turn or two away here.
Yeah, this is when things might get a little bit spicier. I would say that Louisa Werner there, she is determined. She is out in the front, and I would say she might attack pretty soon here. Carol is right there on her wheel, not letting her get away. Stephanie is also right there, keeping that gap to 0. Alice Alexander also with that group.
So with those
Yeah,
two
Louisa,
riders,
she lost the group right at the beginning, whether she wasn't paying attention or what, but she was at 6 seconds down early and fought back.
yeah, that's definitely a break. Those two riders that we're looking at, Carol and Louise Werner, these are riders that are unaffiliated, Taya. So as a rider, and when you're in this group and you've got your 3 Team ODivaZ riders, you've got your 3 Vixen riders, what are you looking at when there's an unaffiliated rider kind of on the front? What are your thoughts? What are you thinking?
Well, there's some tricks and some tactics that can play out here. But
we don't have to let all the secrets out. We could just say, what would a rider think? What should they be thinking about?
They should be thinking about, covering that person and perhaps getting that rider to work harder and get tired, so that others in your team can go out and attack at the end and get the win. So if you have a team of riders here, you might be talking to each other, and you might tell one of them, hey, you know what, go over there and get that rider in the front tired, thinking into, maybe you do a fake attack and that person is going to have to race you in that attack, and then you get them tired. But it all depends on when you do it. So that's one tactic that we've seen.
Yeah, and so this attack and counterattack, or the reeling in of a rider up front, is something that's commonly used in the group. So essentially, if you have numbers like the Vixen team, like the ODivaZ team here, what you're looking at, if someone does head off the front, you send one of your riders up, right up next to that rider, let them know, hey, what's up? We're all still here. And then typically you'll go shoulder to shoulder or right on that wheel and really just let them kind of really push the pace hard. And a lot of times you'll find riders end up letting off, and that group comes back knowing that they have someone up there essentially controlling that pace and not completely far away, because that rider knows that they need to put that much more power out. Looks like we're making that right turn. Go ahead.
Is this the final?
It is.
Coming up on it now.
Yeah.
Well, we got one lap to go.
Correct. We are finishing our fourth lap, everybody.
Ring that bell!
Not yet.
Too early. Looking down the barrel here, down the carpet. We're coming up into that to the start-finish line for the start of the fifth lap for this group. We should hear that bell here shortly. We're going to check on the other groups, make sure that everybody is in line and that we are where we need to be at the finish here. I want to make sure we can capture a good amount of the finishers today.
Final lap.
That's right.
What?
Final lap. One lap to
I
go,
didn't
one
hear
lap to
that.
go. One lap to go, one lap to go, one lap to go, everybody. So here we go. We are in the action. We've got 12 riders here in the front. Thanks for Patrick jumping in, joining us in the live stream. And thanks to Beth and Deborah saying, go ladies, good luck, and go Vixens. And Kim Beezer there has got a thumbs up. So here we are. We're in the final lap. We've got 12 riders here that has made the selection. At this point, are these riders taking a breath, Taya, or are they looking for they're looking to make a break, especially with this course? What are we thinking these riders are going to do today?
I know for a fact that some of these riders are actually pretty well placed in terms of where they are and what kind of power they're holding. They are not, some of these riders in the front group are not really at that threshold level. They are riding tempo right now. So we are looking, I bet that we're going to see some fireworks here at the end. Whether somebody's going to take off early, I don't know.
I don't know. All right, Alice Alexander there from the Team Vixen team, making sure that she's right with her teammate there. Team ODivaZ making sure they're in the mix. We've got our KRT rider, but don't forget Carol Scott and Luis Werner are still in the group. No one's been dropped. No breaks have been made, but the time is now and the time is coming. We're going to see if something happens here at the end. If not, it's going to be ending up into a group sprint where we're going to see all fireworks go. We did have Z call in the group. Yes, she's still there too. Okay. So we'll have to see. We know she's a big climber. She likes to go on the climbs and really get a gap. So we'll see if they use that tactic or we'll see what plays out here.
So the place to do that will be in that short incline right before they get into the turn for the 1K.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That will be the place to put down an attack. The key there, though, if you do that at that point, is you need to, once you open that gap, to hold it.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that we see. We see riders essentially, what I feel, go too hard to get away, when in fact you may be able to do, let's say, a 15-second effort, hold maybe for another 45, and at that point be able to settle down and get a good steady gap. But what happens is a lot of riders just go to the top of their limit almost until they blow up, and they end up falling through, I guess, what you could call, let's say, just fall through the floor and end up getting back with the group because they went way too hard. So
And this is what you do in training, right? That's why you train, because you not only teach your body to be able to do those surges and fall into some kind of power that holds a gap, but you also know in your numbers what you can do. So you
Right.
don't go over and don't blow yourself up.
Right. A lot of times people think
I
it
need
just...
the bell.
Your bell's coming.
So we got a gap here in the front. We got Werner. She is about 3 seconds ahead of Carol Scott. And Carol's got a second on Kim Beezer, right back with that group.
Right. Looks like Carol Scott has brought back her group, but they are 3 seconds. The gap is 3 seconds. There you go. Three seconds, and whoa, Carol Scott looks like she's got a drop out there. Watts went to 0-0. Uh-oh. That is one.
No.
Let me jump on and make sure we don't lose the front group. We'll see if that spins back up. She's 3 seconds behind this group now, but what an unfortunate time. That's one thing here in virtual racing. You end up getting virtual flat tires. So,
That's tough.
You also
Especially-
get kid flats.
oh yes, we also get kid flats. So we are on. Go ahead.
Yeah, Kim is now behind Louisa, and this is only 2 seconds, but it is a tough gap because it is above 4.5 watts per kilogram. They're putting down 4.5, 5. Z-Call is coming fast like a freight train. She starts putting down 9 watts per kilogram, and this is that incline that we were talking about, where the riders put down the power. And there she goes. There goes Z. She's taking off early. She passed Werner. Kim Beezer right behind. Tiffany. I want to see Tiffany go in, all in, Tiffany, if you're hearing me.
She's probably cussing at you right now.
But they brought that group together. So Luis Werner, Alex, let's see, don't lose this spot. We've got Webster, Larson coming up over the hill. I'm gonna stay on board with Werner here as we get up here, looking backwards at the beacon. That means Stephanie's back there. They're trying to reel this in. They're looking at about 3 second gap. That group is Webster, Larson, Beezer, Alice Alexander right there, and then Stephanie Hall, Michael. That's the group that we're looking to close this gap. They've got a couple turns here. You could see that balloon on the other end. I'm going to stay on board with Luisa here, and they are breathing down her neck. Look at that gap.
And Stephanie is right there, Stephanie. You got 1 second. You can see those riders. Just close that gap and go into that group.
Looking pretty good. It's holding it about 3 seconds. Z-Call is 14 seconds off the front. That jump really gave her a push over. She's going under the banner now. Luisa's just about to go under the banner next. The gap is 3 seconds. They really need to close this down. At about the 1K to go, these riders are looking at about 1.5 minutes max of racing, if not just at 1 minute on the rivet. 1 minute on the rivet. Hey, that's going to be a new one. All
hey,
right.
that is your VO2 interval. So you can do this.
That's right. It's not anything.
If you don't have a very, very powerful sprint, but you work VO2 in your training, this is the time to go.
That's right. That's right. The powers are up. 2 seconds gap to go. Luis has got to be looking at a fade here, looking at that gap closing. We've got D Honor, Stephanie Hall, Michael closing that gap. 2 seconds. Kim Beezer, Alice Alexander, Alice Webster there. I just saw Larson come through. There it is, 4.1 watts per kilogram. They're going to want to close this. This is going to turn here into the carpet, but they are coming. They're coming fast. They're coming furious. And here it comes. We're rolling onto the carpet. We're about 700 meters to go. The beacon lights up under the bridge. And Luisa is still pushing out 4.3 watts per kilogram. You think this is going to close, Taya?
This is it. You got to get out of the saddle and you got to go for it. All in, nothing left. This is it. If you don't do it now, you won't do it. Just go.
Boom. Look at this.
Look at her go.
On board with Tiffany Larson coming by, 6.5 watts per kilogram. Coming by Louise Werner. Alice Webster right behind her. Alice Alexander right there. Coming by. Looking at that. Also coming by Werner right there at the end. Amazing, amazing race.
Angela's coming fast.
Wow.
She's going to pass Tiffany at this space. Oh my gosh.
Woo! Look at that. Great finish. We are going to have a finishing here. Let me go back to my riders, see if we could find them. Back into the beacon ride. Let's see. It should give us. There it is. I'm going to jump back on board with Liz here on the stream. And they're taking that final turn up the hill. And we should be able to see this next group come through. Got one rider ahead of her. Cassie, I believe it is, coming up and over that hill. But we should be able to follow
She's
this
an
group.
animal.
Is she?
That's Dawn.
That's
Team
Dawn?
Endurance Nation.
There you go. Team Endurance Nation. That's a name that we are starting to see more and more. Do you know a little bit about that group, Taylor, that you could tell us as we come to this final hill? I'm on board with Liz here.
Yeah, so Team Endurance Nation is, I believe, primarily or only triathlon, right?
I believe so.
And it's a very large group. They have, I guess, a training program, but also a forum with a lot of members that participate and help each other out. Very similar to what we do in the Endurance Lab in terms of having that support group of all the athletes interacting in a private forum, exchanging information, but very strong athletes in Endurance Nation.
Yeah, absolutely. Big numbers there. Cameras on, Liz. We've got to see your magic here. Do not let this rider come by. El Bianco, Connie right behind her, just about a minute, going up this hill. We're going to see if we can get some fireworks and get a sprint out of Liz today. She wants the spotlight. She got the spotlight. Here we are with her Tron bike. She's got the yellow lights blazing. They're coming up over this hill. That puts us about just 2,000 meters to go for them. We're going to see if we can get through this finish and get a couple other riders. Looking back, we've got Connie from Team Moose. We've got Bridget Soltis. We've got Chizowalski. And then Christina Barberi behind her. We'll probably round it out with those riders after that. Unfortunately, as I roll down the Zwift Power list, we've got a lot of dropouts today, over 10. And that is just unfortunate, just because, you know, you've just done that training and you wanted to get into the mix, get into the race, and just something happened. And so just like a real ride can be, something can happen, something not work, and you're calling an Uber, and someone's bringing you home. 134. Okay. All right. So Liz and El Bianco are making this this U-turn here, and then we're gonna get a 1K sprint out of Liz. Like we said, anybody could be a hero for 1 minute, and we're gonna see if Liz could be that hero for us today here on the broadcast. All out for 1 minute is what we're asking her to do. Putting her in the spotlight, putting her on the spot, but you know what? That's where she likes to be. She's probably cursing at me now.
Nope, no cursing.
No cursing. We'd probably
Just getting ready.
Just getting ready. All right, that rider DJ, you said it was Dawn. Is that her last name? Is CSSJ or is
Yes.
That, oh, it is. How would
Go! Drop her! 1K to go! Drop her!
1K to go. Pat from the eyes. Our eye from the sky is asking for Liz to put down the power. She goes straight to 4.0, a little bit above 4, 4.5. It could probably do it.
Looks good. Go!
She's not picking it up.
Go, Liz, go!
She's pegged. I'm not gonna tell you her heart rate. She'd probably die if she saw her heart rate. But she's really doing everything she can to drop this rider. Go! She's almost to the red carpet. She's got one turn, and that will do it. And she will have just about 800 meters to finish. The gap is slightly, I want to say, opening up. But she needs to make sure she gets that gap.
Come on. Counterattack.
All right.
Power looks good.
All right, here we go. Let me see if I can roll this around, see the other side of this. And she gets up off the saddle.
Going.
Oh, it's exciting now.
There you go.
El Bianca's off her saddle. Little bit of a response.
Sleeper. Sleeper.
200 to go. Drops the power up. You've got one more burst in her. You got one more. This is exciting. Oh, it's gonna be.
Yeah, go.
I think she got her.
That's the line. I think she got her.
I think you're right. I think she got her at the line. Oh my. Let's jump back into the beacon. I've got about 200 meters to go, and then we're gonna get our results here. We're about just about 30 seconds away, and we should be able to do the rundown here.
Great race.
Well
Good job,
played.
Liz.
Well played. Well
Thanks.
played. I like it. I like it. All right, we're gonna do a quick run through, Taya. We should have our results in about 3, 2, 1, and here we go. Here's our results. We got Z Kala. It should be coming up on the stream, so give me about 2 seconds for it to update, and it should be able to see it there as well. And we could talk a little bit about our finishing standings. And there they are. So what we're looking at there, our top finishers. Let me get our logo out of the way. That should do it. So what we're looking at is Z Kala there in our first spot. She was able to open a gap at about 7 seconds. And then tell us about the next couple down here, Taya. It should be updated on your stream as well.
Sure. So Z Kala, Team ODivaZ. Then we have Tiffany Larson, also from Team ODivaZ, who came in second, and she has been winning races like there is no tomorrow. Angela Webster right behind Tiffany for Vixen, followed by Alice Alexander from Vixen as well. Louisa Werner, she came in 5th, and she was the one pushing the pace in this race today. She was strong the whole time off the front, and I'm surprised that she finished in 5th. Yeah.
You should see what Angela can do real life.
Oh, I know Angela is a very strong rider in real life.
Trust
and
me,
she races.
In person.
Yeah. And we have Kim Beezer coming in behind Louisa and Stephanie Holmichael. So Kim for KISS and Stephanie Holmichael, Team ODivaZ, Debbie Unner, and Carol Scott. Very unfortunate. We saw that drop out in her power. She was in that front group the whole time, holding out.
Absolutely. So rounding out those 10 spots, looking like a really great race today. I'm not able to give ride-ons to anybody here in the module, so I do apologize. My thumbs up goes to everyone there. I want to thank everybody for coming up to the race. I hope everyone enjoyed the race today on the London Classique 5 laps. I want to thank our support team. I want to thank Taya for coming in today, our eye in the sky, Pat, the Night Train O'Neill, and for everybody here at Zwift Live by ODivaZ. Join us all week. We've got some really great broadcasting. And as far as if you're looking for structured training, check out endurancelab.fit, teamodz.com, and we will see everybody in 2 weeks at the next ODivaZ Ladies.
Oh, yeah.
Cheers,
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, you guys. Good job.